Welcome to Tea in the Garden, a hilariously human spiritual podcast. Here, ancient wisdom is remembered and every conversation is a wild ride.
We're three neurodivergent witchy women rooted in curiosity, creativity, and conscious living, here to spill the tea on what really matters.
From psycho-spiritual theory to ancient history, shadow work to entrepreneurship, we're not afraid to go deep, get brutally honest, and laugh a lot along the way.
I'm Lauren New.
I'm Savannah Alloway.
And I'm Priscilla Doak. Come sip the cosmic tea with us.
Hello everyone. We have a very fun topic today. We are talking the shadow side of empaths.
This is a topic that might be a little bit triggering, but I think in a really good way, because we often talk about the superpowers, the strengths of being highly sensitive, of being an empath, but we don't often talk about our shadows and really how that can show itself in really cunning ways in our life and in our relationships. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic today, and I hope that it allows all of us to just take more accountability and responsibility for understanding the unconscious effects and damage we might be enacting and playing a part in our relationships.
Well, I think it can be very easy, especially when you're in your healing journey and you're an empath and you're constantly feeling so much and you have this desire, as most of us do, to want to help. I think it's very common for people to, in a way, trigger warning, this might pull up your shadow. In a way, they're a little bit self-absorbed in that moment, but it's because they have to be, right? We have to be in that moment, but you don't realize, like, self-absorption isn't a bad thing. Working on yourself, focusing on yourself isn't a bad thing, but you need to realize that that's what you're doing, so that you can kind of contain yourself and use discernment when you begin to, or if you are going to at all, share information or share what you're receiving or what you're feeling or what you're seeing, right? We can become so self-absorbed because we have to in our healing journey that you don't even think about the other person. Like, that other person may not even want to hear that, right? So number one, consent is so important. We want consent and other parts of our lives, right? But consent is important in all parts of our life.
I just want to say this is a love letter from some elder empaths, if you will, to you. This is for you. You may not want to hear it, but you have to. This is a big sister moment that we're having with you. If you are so excited about your newfound spirituality, I'm an empath, I'm psychic, I'm gifted, and maybe even you're coming from a Abrahamic religion background, specifically Christianity, where we're taught to proselytize and go out there and spread the good news. And I think a lot of young spiritualists bring that philosophy and way of practice from their Abrahamic religion into their newness. And so that's something that we don't want to be doing as we transition into, I'll call us spiritualists, even witches, shamans, whatever you want to label yourself as. We just don't do that. That's something that if nobody asked, we don't say shit.
Right. That was going to be like my follow-up question that I'm sure a lot of our listeners and followers are thinking, like, well, when is the appropriate time? It's when they ask. It's when they come to you for and ask for your opinion or ask for your help. That is a green light. You can also ask if they would like your input.
Right.
Savannah, you're great at doing that.
If somebody's not going out of their way to ask you for advice, solution, or experience, and you still feel really inclined to share, you can ask them. But the reason why consent is so key, and it's a big thing that you learn as you spiritually mature, is because we honor sovereignty. We honor soul expression of other beings as one of the highest laws of existence, right? And so for beings that want to live in benevolence to the life around them, this is a principle that is upheld to really the nth degree, right? That we really respect another person's free will, their soul expression, their choices, their path. We cannot walk this for them. We don't have a right to walk it for them. We don't have a right to intervene or alter or to manipulate the path that is in front of them. And so, this is why consent at a spiritual and energetic level is so important. Because if we really want to be living by these principles, right, in the highest truth and integrity, this is a really big application of it that we have to take accountability for.
Mm-hmm. One of the first things that we teach at the National Intuitive Academy, like first month of year one, is non-judgment. To just see, we say, see as the shaman sees, witness people, their soul expression, whatever they're doing, whatever is their plot line, their story arc, whatever they are playing out in their human life, we are to observe it as it is without judgment. And so when you just see things clearly for what they are without having to call them good or bad or needing of help or needing of saving or service, then you start to drop that, oh, I need to help them, oh, I need to say something, oh, I need to correct them. These are things that we're shedding from, again, maybe our past in the church.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about in our relationships classes in the academy as well, this idea of respecting somebody's capability, right? And I think so all of our lineages, all the lineages that we teach honor this greatly in others, right? It's talked a lot about in like Don Miguel Ruiz's shamanic books, a lot about in the principles you teach in psychic development savvy and in tantra and tantric relationships of, if I claim to, have the right to intervene, to alter somebody's decision, I feel this urge to get involved in their process. What I'm subconsciously saying is that I don't trust them. I don't trust life and the intelligence of the plan that's happening greater than myself. And I need to take control. This person doesn't have the capability to act right in their life or right for themselves. We are disempowering somebody inherently by claiming we need to save them. And this is something we really don't think about sometimes. We think
And getting tangled up in their karma.
exactly, because we think we're acting in benevolence, we think we're acting in high compassion and empathy. And in some way, there's a mix of that, but it's in a really cunning mask where it's really coming from this subconscious feeling of like, I don't trust this person. I don't trust life, the universe, God, and the plan in front of it. I need to take the reins. I need to take control. I need to save this. I need to fix this, which is also saying something is inherently wrong with what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
who are
that's
we?
judgment.
Yeah, who are we to claim this? Really, right? It's an important thing to ask ourselves as we mature on the path. Who are we to claim we know better than anyone and anything what's really supposed to be happening, right? It takes a large amount of ego to believe that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, a healthy, right? A healthy dose is understanding that we have to respect each and every person's sovereignty, right? And this is kind of 1 and 2 points. Like we have to respect other people's sovereignty, one, because we want our sovereignty respected. And so first we have to embody that. But second, like each person has their own path, as you were saying, their own karma. In the shamanic path, we talk about a person's soul expression, right? Each person has their own unique song, their own unique path, their own unique karma that their soul has chosen to experience in this life. And if you start meddling and messing with people's paths, and disregarding their sovereignty, you're no longer honoring free will and you're naturally out of alignment. Naturally. So not only is you being involved with them going to put things out of alignment for them, but you're also throwing yourself out of alignment. So it's not helping anybody really in the end. Like you were saying, P, in the shamanic path, we really hone in a lot on honoring the natural flow of thing, the soul expression of a person, and allowing them to play out their karma the way their soul wants to.
I think that this goes not just for trying to help someone, seeing them struggle, seeing them suffer, but also getting so excited about things that we learn and wanting to
Mm.
shove it down people's throats. Another artifact of the church. And I believe that the fear is that, well, if I don't go out offering my help and trying to share this like enlightenment, this revelation I've had, how will anybody know? How will I actually be able to be of service? How will I be able to share with the world, with the collective, with individual people, the light that I've discovered within myself? Like, how is that going to happen if I don't charge forth with it?
Right. This is, I think, some of the questions that plague us, right, on the path. What is the right move? When to share? How to share? How do we uphold our dharma and also respect soul expression and other people's path and free will?
I gotta tell you, if you really are an empath and you're not some like covert narc, if you really are an empath, you will have no shortage of people coming up to you and telling you their life story. And you'll know when those moments are happening. Those are the opportunities where you can say, hey, do you want me
Right.
to just listen? Do you want me to retort to this? Do you want me to give you feedback? And that's the act of waiting for them to ask, asking for consent, and then sharing gently. That's another big topic. Sharing in the way that people need to hear it instead of maybe in a more direct way, instead of in a more spiritually heightened way that they might not be able to digest.
This is, oh, I love this topic. This is a passion of mine as an ENFJ. Speaking to people's listening. It's something that I noticed greatly happening in the spiritual communities when I was first entering it. I just saw so clearly how much people were talking and not noticing that nobody was hearing a singular word that was being said, and they didn't care. They just wanted to keep talking, and I saw so much of this at like a low level of like, just person to person community conversation and dialogue, but also in a leadership way too, with spiritual leaders, teachers, and gurus that I felt were speaking so out of context and really not tapping into people's listening space. And this is another big indicator of like we should be sitting and asking ourselves, am I sharing this because I want to say it and it's something that I want to hear, or is it actually for somebody else? Right?
Period.
Am I actually speaking for somebody else right now? In the benefit of somebody else, right? In the service of someone else's listening. Am I saying this because I just want to be heard? I want to be heard, or because it's actually being asked for? It can actually be received.
I got something to add to that. As a service providing spiritualist, whatever that looks like, feels like, is to you, there are times where people will come to you for comfort, for advice, for guidance, to be held, to be witness, just for you to hold that space for them. And their beliefs are not your beliefs. I know Lauren talks about that a lot in her death doula training. Would love to hear from you about how you talk to people who don't have your beliefs. Because, if you were a beginner spiritualist, as we keep saying,
Mhm.
it's so easy to just want to correct them and shove what you believe and what you find to be true when that might not be at all what they believe.
It's really important to speak to people in the language in which they can understand and receive it, right? So if you are so hell bent on needing to be recognized or understood by a person, you're not going to be able to get through. You're not going to be able to make a big impact because we're never, and I will say that as a very big finality statement, but we will never in this reality all agree. It's not going to happen. But we can learn to have different worldviews, different perspectives, and still live in harmony. And so, in order to make that change, you really do have to learn how to speak the language in which people will understand, right? So, we talk about this in Death Doula, like you were talking about, Savannah, where if someone has a different spiritual belief than you use the words that they use. If they use the word God, you can use the word God. If they use the word energy, you use the word energy, because we'll be able to get across the same exact message, just using different vocabulary in which that they can receive and digest and make just as big of an impact. But in a way, you have to be selfless and you have to be open to the message that needs to go forward, instead of being so dedicated to being seen and heard and recognized, right? Sometimes the vessel is so much easier when the ego is anonymous and you just get to speak in the language of energy, which is different with each person depending on their beliefs. So, asking what their beliefs are first before you give your input, asking, listening to the words that they use, and then reflecting those back to them, you can have a really great conversation with somebody. But it takes um, groundedness, it takes a regulated nervous system, it takes openness and curiosity. And those things can't be accessed when you're in fight or flight.
Right. It takes so much spiritual maturity to be able to set aside an agenda. And I think that's where a lot of us struggle. That was a lot harder for me to do in many years of my path previously, where I didn't want to use specific words because I didn't resonate with them, because I didn't believe in them anymore. I was like, I'm not going to say God. I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say that. I'm in such a different place with that now that I couldn't have predicted back then. Back then, I thought I have it all figured out. I'm not going to degrade what I feel about the frequency of things or the truth of things and speak that way. But in the process of that, I wasn't building as many bridges as I can now. And also, I can completely see it from a different perspective now. I don't feel that it's a degradation of my truth or what I'm trying to convey. I feel that it is speaking to somebody's listening. And also, I have a different understanding now that we can use so many words to point to similar things. And it actually doesn't matter what I believe. It matters how I'm being of service in that moment to somebody. It doesn't matter that I don't have an agenda to convince them of something. And I used to, I know, like, it's weird to admit, but a lot of times we do come from that place. And it's not a like cute thing to admit, but like it's really subtle and it can be sneaky. But there's many opportunities where there's a part of us that wants to convince somebody of this, because we are like, wow, this is so mind-blowing. This changed my life. This was such a tool for me, right? This has changed how I view the world. It's made me so much more happy. And so it comes from a good space in a sense, but then it becomes its own beast, right? That we have to eventually address on our path, or we're going to keep facing these same roadblocks of missing people, feeling misunderstood. A lot of the feedback that we hear a lot, of all the people that we work with is like, oh no, my family, just every time I try to talk to them about it, they just don't understand. They start attacking me. And I'm like, I don't always, again, I speak to their listening. We don't always say this in the moment, but I clock it and I'm like, yeah, I know because of the way that you're speaking, right? I know that it has to do with the space they're holding too. It's never a one-way street, right? And so understanding these energetics, it can just bring so much more harmony into our way that we navigate the world, and the actual ability to be of service, right, to others as sensitive beings, as empaths, as medicine people of any sort.
Like, imagine me, a practicing witch, a practicing shaman. Someone asked me to pray for them, and I go, "Oh no, I don't pray."
Right. This happens a lot, though.
Icky.
Yeah.
That's icky. Like, not to bring judgment into a non-judgment conversation, but let's call a spade a spade. And I'm supposed to be this benevolent healer. Sorry, but that's icky to me.
Yeah.
I think it's objectively icky.
Yeah, it just shows a blind spot, right? It shows a blind spot to us.
If certain words describing the same phenomena still trigger you, I'm so sorry to say this, you're not ready to do healing work. You still have more deconstruction to do. And we have, all three of us, been there.
Yeah. I think that there's, I won't even say it's a negative thing. It's just what we will say as your like big sisters is just keep going with it, because you're not at the end. If you still feel that way, you're not at the end. You know what I mean? Like there's more. There's so much more that unfolds after that spot. You can't force it. You can't like crack it open by force, right? You do have to let it mature in you, but don't get caught in the loop of thinking and it's a finality and that you've reached it. This is the truth. This is the end all be all. This is what you're going to be believing and practicing the rest of your life. If you start to notice that your mind is like already attaching to that, just keep it in check. Just be like, you know what? That might be true, but I don't really know. Let me see. See what sticks.
Conversely, how we can be turned off by words, the people that we help can be turned off by words. I remember one time, if you guys remember our Mount Shasta retreat, I wanted to call a certain event a baptism, and it triggered the ever-living hell out of one of the people in our groups.
Yeah.
The trauma they had had with the church. And I remember doubling down at the time and being like, no, we're going to call it a baptism because I want to. And that was not kind of me. That was extremely immature and spiritually inept of me, to double down like that, because, in my mind, I was like, it's just a word. Get over it. We're doing the same thing.
I get it.
No matter what we
Yeah.
call it. But, use your discernment.
I get it. There was many moments in my first years of sharing my path publicly and starting my YouTube channel and being so in love with Hinduism that I felt personally very resistant to any words that related to the church, or what I had come out of. And I did not like to use any of those terminologies. I didn't like to use pray, God, a masculine form of the divine, like all these things. I was like, I would never say them out loud for a long time. And it's so interesting to see how I actually feel about that now. And it feels so much more free and open because I have just a different relationship and view now. And I can hold all of those things, as an aspect of reality, an aspect of truth.
So let's talk now about what are some aligned ways that they can share their truth, and what are some ways that they can continue working on this if they do find themselves wanting to talk at people versus have a conversation or share, even if somebody hasn't necessarily asked. What are those things that we can work on? And then what are aligned ways that we can put it out there?
I want to say there's a big difference between sharing your truth and trying to be a savior.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you for sure, as a young spiritualist, let's say like 6, 7 years ago, I had a very large savior complex. Artifact of the church, no doubt. A very large savior complex. I wanted to save the world, like Jesus Christ of Nazareth or some shit like that. And all that had ever brought me, I really stopped doing this probably 3-4 years ago, and it naturally dissipated because it just backfired so deeply.
It took a big poop on your energy field.
It really, really backfired so many different times where I'm like, I'm just trying to help people. This person needs help, has even asked for my help, is working with me ongoingly. And I'm going to make sure that because they're working with me, that they're going to solve all their problems. They're going to make so much money. They're going to have the happiest relationships. They're going to let go of all their trauma, and they're going to be healed, and they're going to have the best life and transformation because they worked with me. That is my savior complex of the past. And again, these people not just asked, but asked with money, asked with time, attention. Like they were doing the work, but it always backfired because when you are put on a pedestal and you allow that and you want that and you let people put you on a pedestal as the savior, it is a long fall from grace, because very quickly the savior can become the villain. Be yourself responsible for somebody else's life.
They say that, right? The poppy that sticks up the highest or whatever, the first to get chopped. It's like that, right?
Jesus Christ himself was paraded down the street on a Friday and crucified the following Friday.
Yeah. Well, and also on another perspective of this is like, who are you to decide what is good for a person? right? What is good for you, it could be the worst situation for another person. Like you want family, you want children for another person. That timeline, that reality is not what they
Mm-hmm.
desire or align with, right? So we also have to get out of this kind of like God complex, which is slash savior complex of I know what's best.
Exactly. And you know, to go back to your question, Lauren, I think one of the easiest ways we can catch ourselves with this and do better is to ask somebody. It's so simple, but to ask our friend, our loved one, our client, our family member, when they're coming to us, they're suffering, they're in pain, they're venting, whatever the case may be that usually these situations arise, simply ask them how they want to be supported. That's it. Yep, it's humbling, it's not exciting, it's not juicy, really. A lot of times somebody might just say, I want you to listen, and that's the hardest thing for you to do in the moment. And now you get to do that, and that's your spiritual practice. And sometimes they might say, actually, you know, I've heard you talk a lot about this yoga practice. Could you like tell me a little bit maybe how that might help me? Oh my God, a window just opened and you never expected it. It often happens when you least expect it. But I think to simply actually ask the person just, how do you want me to support you in this moment? Is a
We are
really
not
beautiful way to start, right?
we're not recruiting people to a religion.
Right.
We are here to lead people to their own conclusions. We're not here to give them the answers or solutions. We're here to empower them, speak life into them, hold that space for them to sort whatever they're sorting through and find it for themselves. That is true, we'll say, revelation.
True awakening, true self-realization, right? It is, you're guiding somebody back to themselves. You're guiding yourself to yourself and nothing more.
I know in shamanism we say we don't give advice. We very much warn against giving advice. We just like to ask a lot of questions of inquiry to help them figure out their truth, their own solution, and that is how you empower. Because otherwise, you're taking away power.
That's all a good mentor or teacher will ever do for you, you know, is to help you get to your own conclusions. There's a
Yo.
there's a beautiful quote from the Bhagavad Gita that translates roughly to raise yourself by yourself. We can only rise through the self, right? Like it is only through the self we can lift ourselves up. There's no way around it. Like it's literally the path is through the self, not around it, not next to it, not for somebody else, not the person next to you, not your lover, not your best friend. It's through you. And only through you, you can really find that for yourself. And so that applies, of course, if it's a truth, it applies to all things, including all the people that we love and that we want to affect.
The real teachings of Jesus were not, I'm going to save you, I'm going to tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
The real teachings of Jesus were, I see you in your highest self, I see you in your full potential. I'm there with you. Do you see it too? Do you see it? Can you see it? Because I see it in you. That's what Jesus taught, not follow all these rules and do what I say.
That's a whole other podcast, girlfriend. We
Yeah.
should do it like a
Oh,
spin-off from History is a
woo!
Lie. We should do a podcast on the Bible.
Next
Oh,
podcast
hi.
topic. Next podcast topic. What the fuck Jesus actually said and what we're taught he said. Because they're completely different things. Fandom Jesus and canonical Jesus, different people. Even in skin tone.
Nice. All right. Well, it sounds like we got our next topic sorted out. I feel like we've really, gone through this pretty well. Is there anything you guys want to add or leave them with?
I think my last words would be to all the highly sensitive people out there. It is very easy to feel that we are different, special, separate from, and in some ways this is true, but in a larger reality, do not let that duality create a new separation for you, a new ego, a new I'm different than everybody else, so I need to intervene. I need to teach them. I need to help them because I see things people don't see. Humble yourself. Come to the ground reality of meeting people where they are at and serving them in the ways they're actually asking for and actually consenting to, and you will learn more that way about yourself than you ever could cutting yourself off from them, keeping people at a distance, or claiming you have nothing to learn from them. So humble yourself and learn through your relationships, and really be open to understanding that everyone around us is our guru if we know how to listen.
Yeah, you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself, you know?
Can I have just a little comical moment?
Go ahead. Oh my God.
My name is Starfire Moonbeam, and I have come for the liberation of all of humanity. Come, let me evaluate your auric field, so I might find what is lacking and fill it in for you. That's my impersonation of what not to do.
Yes.
Oh my God. That's like everybody on TikTok right now.
I know.
Oh, your name is Kate Smith. You work at Best Buy. And you just started meditating 2 months ago. Relax.
Well, and what's so funny though is actually people want Kate more than they want the Starfire. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we miss.
Yeah.
They don't want this version of you. They want you, your messy, human, everythingness self. That can give more and serve more than some false idea and perfection and savior version of you ever could.
It's like I try to come into the mindset of learn with me, not from me, right? I learned these, so I'm just sharing these lessons with you, okay? And I'm going to continue to mess up and learn, as are you. So don't get caught up in that savior God complex. You are a big deal, and also you ain't shit. So just work on yourself, focus on yourself, focus on the impact and the service that you can be in, and adjust as needed, and you'll be fine.
You are unique and uniquely gifted, just like everybody else.
That's facts, besties.
Yay! Mic drop, you guys.
We out. Yeah, I hope this gave us all food for thought and deeper layers of integration, which is so important on this path that we're walking. If we want to be walking a medicine path, we want to be calling ourselves a healer of any kind, welcome to the work. This is what we have to always be checking ourselves on.
If you're trying to feel special from your spiritual path, you are missing the mark. The spiritual path is about feeling oneness with everything and everyone in the whole world, and feeling a part of that integrated quantum field, not to separate ourselves to feel special. Everybody likes to have a moment of like being acknowledged and being highlighted, but that's just not the point of this path.
All right, guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
That's the tea.
Share with a friend, leave us a review,
And follow us on Instagram at National Intuitive Academy.